My name is Jerre Borland, and I am the head boss queen of the Berry Queens of New Iberia. And we are an organization that supports Iberia Habitat for Humanity. The idea for the Berry Queens began many years ago. I was an honorary member of the Sweet Potato Queens of Jackson, Mississippi. And I had this idea of meshing, this idea of philanthropy and queenliness, kind of tiara wearing for a cause. And I was new to New Iberia. I was the not so young mother of 2 small children. And as I stood at the Sugarcane Festival parade, I watched all the floats go by, and I saw all these people and all the queens in their fabulousness, and I thought, hey, what New Iberia really needs in this parade is a group of women of a certain age who could light up the whole parade with their fabulousness and their tiaras and their big hair and their enhancements like the Sweet Potato Queens, but a more family-friendly version of that. So that's kind of where the idea was born, and I thought what would be even better would be Her Royal Highness Queen of the Berry at the top of this, fake float that I had created in my mind, because so many people said to me when I asked them, where are you from, where do you live? I live in the Berry. And so that's where that reference kind of came from to me. So after telling a few friends who looked at me like my hair was on fire, and my husband who looked like a deer in headlights, I really had no form or no place to put that idea. So I kind of put it away for a little while. And then a few years later, I found myself on the board of Iberia Habitat for Humanity. And lo and behold, they were this grassroots organization who had no fundraiser. And I said, I have an idea. And so they gave me $500 and carte blanche to do whatever I wanted to do as long as we didn't have to sell po' boys. And so I said, that's great, because I have this really great idea. I gathered up about 8 friends who were willing to help. And with the help of about 20 sponsors, which we called Divas and Diva Queens at the time, we put on our very first event a year later in 2008 at the Slyman Theater, right before the Sugarcane Festival, crowned our very first Her Royal Highness, and our relationship with Iberia Habitat and New Iberia kind of got started in that way. So the Berry Queens are really meant to fundraise strictly for Iberia Habitat for Humanity, but because our membership believes in community service, we serve many other organizations within our area, and we do a variety of things. But our money goes to Habitat and to the idea of giving no interest loans to people who don't qualify for traditional home lending. So they're able, through sweat equity and volunteerism and hard work, to get these homes that they help themselves to gain through the queens who do all the volunteer work and sweat equity with them. So it becomes this kind of win-win. And then on the side, we do all kinds of other things, because we are sparkly and we are bright and fun, and so we show up at all kinds of different places as need be. So that's kind of the gist of our organization. Our mission kind of comes from Nehemiah 8:10, which tells us to go your way and eat the fat and drink the sweet, but to send portions back to those who for whom nothing has been prepared. That's kind of the consensus. We, the Berry Queens, take very seriously that whole eating the fat and drinking in the sweet of life, but we also take very seriously the commitment to serve others in our community, and leave behind us in New Iberia this legacy of commitment to others and commitment to service and doing something for a good cause that can be fun. The Queens remember that if we used all the time we spend worrying about how we look as women, we could probably solve world peace. And so that's kind of what we focus on, not worrying so much about ourselves, but taking that energy that we use for that worry and putting it outside of ourselves into something that we feel is more important, and that is our community, our love for New Iberia, so that our daughters can learn to, think to themselves that they too, like Jean-Jacques Marseille says, they're bubbly, they're beautiful, they're marvelous, and pretty soon they will be too. And they can leave the same kind of legacy in this little town and come back and live here and want to be Berry Queens too. So that's kind of what that's all about.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Dugas with the Berry Queens. Many years ago, Jerry had an idea for a fundraiser and an organization, and then she was asked to be a member of the board of directors for Iberia Habitat for Humanity. That idea and her position on the board led to the Berry Queens. From a very meager beginning 7 years ago, where we raised very little money, to now we've raised a great deal of money for Iberia Habitat for Humanity. Jerry's idea gave Habitat the ability to have money to spend for the good works that they do in our community.